Huh?
I feel like we started a way like that before in the past.
Man, I know we started. Press the button, Mo.
Dang, dude, chill out.
Press the button, Mo. Press
this man. Nah. Okay.
Press the button.
Yes. So, Jabril,
Muhammad,
how have you been doing?
I have been well, my friend.
Alhamdulillah.
Long time no see.
Long time, very long time.
Your beard is looking very
magnificent.
Crazy.
Thank you so much. It has a resemblance of the Great Turks.
Oh, you've been watching Ertugrul.
Yeah, that's my show.
Bro. Hey, speaking of which, I need to, my man, Bay, may I enter? Speaking of which, I need to get your Netflix password.
Yeah, bro, I got too many users on that joint.
Yeah, bro.
I got you.
You kicked me off.
I change the password every week.
Oh man! All right, well let's get into this, bro.
Yes, no more dilly-dallying.
We had some people that said that we shouldn't dilly-dally. So if you guys feel the same way, let us know what you guys think. I'm kind of sad because I really like our 5-minute chats. But anyways, before we get too far into it, Mo, let's do this.
Let's kick this thing off into full gear. Call it Mach 5, baby. All right, drop it down with a 3, a 2, a 1.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jabril Salam
and Muhammad Hassan.
And you're listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast.
Yeet. Hey, yeet.
Are you ready?
Yeah, get it.
Ooh.
Yeah, shout out to my younger brother Mohsen. Happy B-Day, guy.
Hey, happy
birthday. Happy Earth Day.
happy Earth Day.
Earth.
On your birthday.
Yes.
It's your birthday.
Oh, shit, here we go.
That's I was done with the Drake quotes. What am I doing?
I thought you were about to say the Chris Brown version. Happy birthday.
No. The only happy birthday we recognize is Stevie Wonder.
I said happy birthday. That was this Christmas. Mariah Carey and Chris Brown.
My
what
man,
you saying though?
In the UK they say you a freshie.
Look at this freshie.
Look at this freshie over here.
Too fresh.
Oh man. No, guys, everything has been going really well. If you guys are listening to this, that means that we are posting on a Thursday.
Yep.
Wow. We rarely do that.
We're still alive.
Yeah, we are still alive. We're still going. Man, this has been a crazy end of the year, but thank you guys. You guys are still here.
Thanks so much.
We're appreciating the love.
No rambling. Let's get it.
All right. So today, Mo, what are we talking about?
Excuse me, guys.
Oh my God! Please do that over there.
I did. Oh man, that oxtail really kicking up the chambers. If you know what I'm saying.
God, it's stinking up the chambers too.
It's climbing up and about to go straight back down. Okay.
Ew. All right, man. Get on with the show, bro.
All right. So what we have on the docket today is something that we all feel but don't talk about.
Ooh. What is that?
It is spiritual burnout. I was gonna say religious burnout, but I think it's mainly spiritual.
Yeah.
Right.
You getting them phases.
Exactly. I mean, so what we're gonna do today is talk about a few of the symptoms that occur when in spiritual burnout mode, and some of the symptoms or solutions to get out of it.
Some of the remedies.
The remedies. Yes. Good. Man, good.
Freshie.
What I say? Solutions.
No, you said some of the symptoms to the symptoms.
That's why I could not be a doctor. I told Pops no, but he still pushed me. So.
Muhammad, I promise, I tell all my friends you will be doctor when we come to this country. Now you talk about you want to sell technology. What technology
my life has failed.
What technology do for my liver? I need new liver.
All right. So going to spiritual burnout, I've been there. I recently just climbed myself out of it. Not too long ago, but I would say one thing that I've noticed was that I had that spiritual burnout because I wanted to get more in the deen, right? Get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pray and do all those things. But I rushed into it, and I didn't build a proper foundation. It's like working out, right? The first thing you do when you want to work out, you get a gym membership, and then you exhaust all the energy within the first 2 weeks. And then even though you have a yearly membership, sometimes you don't go back, and then sometimes you wonder what happened. You didn't properly work out your muscles. Not only that, you didn't have a plan, Yeah,
you didn't go into it thinking, this is why I want to get out of it and this is how I'm going to proceed.
Exactly. So it was more just like, I'm ready to crush this thing, So it was like me standing in front of a huge mountain, and I had no plan of how I'm about to capture this mountain or climb it, but I did have tons and tons of motivation,
Yeah.
So that's what I think burnout comes from, is not only having a lack of understanding and knowledge of where you want to go, but focusing all your energy on one thing, but not properly building that foundation, have the right people around you. So I would say that would be kind of one of the slip-ups or some of the symptoms of a burnout. How about yourself?
Got you. Have I felt spiritual burnout? I wouldn't say I felt the spiritual
And
burnout.
how does that look like for you, just being burnt out? How does that look like?
Just burnt out in general.
What does burnout mean for you?
I think burnout means when you try and go too hard at something for too long. I'm not going to say too hard. When you go hard at something for too long of a period without having a bit of downtime. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have that time to just
recharge.
to recharge, to not have to be in the mode. So like when it comes to spiritual burnout, I think a lot of people, and you know, myself included, you get in this phase where you're praying and you're reading and you're doing all these things, but you're secluded from the things that you also love to do.
Good point.
You just normally love to do. And then you become burnt out because you spent so much time trying to be something that you aren't.
Why do you think we isolate ourselves from those things that we used to love doing?
Because I think so many people separate their religious life, their spiritual life, and then their everyday life.
Fire.
It's like you live two different lives when in actuality, Islam is supposed to be something where you live it as a whole.
Boom.
Like, it's supposed to be incorporated in your everyday life, right? We were doing the Jummah cleanup, right, every Friday, but you bums. Listen, there was a reason why we decided to do that. And I'm going to get back. I want to go back to, oh my God, another oxtail burp.
Eruption.
Caution.
If you watch YouTube
Yo,
channel,
that's
I'm
so
looking to the
nasty.
side like,
I was like, what's he doing? What's over there? There's nothing there, bro. All right. So, if you guys know what we were doing with that, the reason why we started doing Jummah cleanup was because we realized that there was a lack of understanding that this is something that we're supposed to do. As Muslims, we're supposed to keep the earth clean.
Yep.
With all these things going on environmentally that's putting us in literally a crisis status right now for our planet.
I know.
We as Muslims, there's a billion of us.
Climate change, right?
We need climate change. We need to be the ones that are like living out what we're supposed to be doing, which is keeping care of the earth. And so Jummah cleanup was an attempt to make it something that was normalized. You know what I'm saying? The reason why we get burnt out is because instead of us saying, you know, like, let me just I'm just going to see trash. I'm going to pick it up as I go and just put it in trash. This is the equivalent to spiritual burnout. We instead say, you know what? I'm going to clean up the whole earth.
Yep.
And then we go and clean up. We just go and pick up trash every day for
Instead
like 5
of Jummah
hours.
cleanup is everyday cleanup.
Every day,
You know,
5 hour cleanup. And and then after doing that for like 2 weeks, you're like, I'm not touching trash ever again.
Yep.
And that's what happens with your spiritual burnout, where you go from praying none to trying to pray every day.
That's a good analogy.
And a lot of people, that's why a lot of people feel burnout after Ramadan.
Yeah, I was just about to say that is the time. But going back to the Jummah cleanup, what also that showed us, like, hey, just this one day out of the week, you use that to really also connect with the planet, right? The planet that you're trying to serve and keep clean and keep fresh. So the same way as your spirit has to be renewed, has to be refreshed, it has to be recharged, just like you mentioned. But you can't do that if you're focusing and going hard all at one time.
Yeah.
So I do like that sometimes, just taking a step back and be like, why am I doing this? And you got to enjoy it too.
Yeah. And it has to be a part of who you are, right? So
okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How do you make it? Because right now, we noticed that what we just showed or gave example of is that we're doing something that's not already a part of us. It's not part of our foundation. Okay,
right? so we'll use it as an example. If praying isn't something that you normally do right now, which I think that's for a lot of people. Yeah. Matter of fact, if waking up for Fajr isn't something that you do right now.
Start small.
If Fajr isn't something that you do right now, just try and wake up once a week for Fajr. Just once a week.
You know, I'm laughing because human beings, when we do something, we want to do it at the best of its capability, which is not bad. As Muslims, that's what we're supposed to do. So, for example, I was like, I'm going to wake up for Fajr. I said, no, I'm going to wake up for Fajr, have breakfast, get good, and then I'm going to go to the masjid and pray Fajr. That only lasted a week. You know what I mean?
You know how long it has taken me to be able to wake up for Fajr and stay up? I don't go to sleep after Fajr anymore. And if I do...
Did it take you a while to kind of get to that point?
Bro, it took me a while to make Fajr. No, I'm 27.
Right.
I'm 27, bro. Yeah, I didn't wake up for Fajr at all in high school. I didn't wake up for Fajr at all in college. I didn't pray in college. I'll be real about it. I said it on the last episode. I didn't pray in college.
You did?
I did,
Don't.
but it wasn't consistent by any means.
Not something
right?
you'd be proud of.
No, I'm not proud of it, but I'm sharing it because there's people that are listening to this. They're like, dang, I haven't prayed in a week.
This can help.
I mean, it's real. Like, bro, what? You guys listening to this because we're fake?
Yeah.
If you are, then you got the wrong podcast, buddy.
Go back to the first episode.
Anyways, go back to the first one. We kept it really raw.
So we're talking about incorporating into our life.
Yeah. So like, you want to start off small, trying to put something new into your own environment. Your body has its own environment. If you try and shock it by putting all this new stuff into this schedule, into the system, you're going to reject it at a certain point.
It's going to be too much.
It's going to be too much for you. So a lot of us go through spiritual burnout because of the fact that we're trying to overdo it without actually implementing it into our lives, what becomes normal for us. Waking up for Fajr now is normal for me. Missing Fajr is not normal for me.
Hey, Allahu Akbar.
You know what I'm saying? Allahu Akbar. Missing is not normal for me. Staying up for Fajr and not staying up for Fajr is now at a balance, right?
You're trying to get it to that.
Exactly. Like, typically I'll stay up, right? Like, I get, like, once I'm up now in the morning, I'm up.
Yeah.
Right? And I actually, when we got with Imam Pasha, that's episode 62. Very good episode, by the way. Go and listen to that.
Plug.
When we got with Imam Pasha and he was like, yeah, I wake up at 3 and I stay awake from that point on, I was like, wow. That's interesting because that means he has time to study in the morning. He can kind of meditate. He can read. He can pray. He can have his breakfast, and then he can get on his day, right? And I was like, dang, that's pretty impressive. And I was like, I want to try that. And I tried it literally once, and I tried a second time.
Yep.
It wasn't like consecutively, but it was like I wanted to try and establish a routine. And spiritually, that's what I was doing. I was trying to establish a spiritual routine. It's been hard for me. I'm not going to lie. It's been difficult. Like, it's difficult for me to read, meditate, pray, work out, do all that stuff at once because you're treating yourself in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So I think when it comes to spiritual burnout, a lot of people who go through it on an individual basis, we haven't gotten to the social aspect of it, right?
That's coming.
I don't know what's on the docket. This is all you. So like when you get to that personal level where you're like, you know what? I'm starting to enjoy prayer. It's not becoming something where it's like it feels out of place. It's like it's in my life. So same thing with cleaning up trash off the street. Now I do it with such fluidity. I do it without even thinking. It's just like osmosis. Just pick it up, throw it away. It's just what you do. Yeah. And when you start doing it, other people around you start doing stuff like that. So, you know, going to the masjid, going to prayer, or like the buddy system we talk about, obviously we've probably like beat that dead horse to a pulp.
It works
but it's like when you be like, yo, bro, make sure you pray through it today. At first I was like, yo, shut up. As bad as it seemed. It was like, man, I appreciate the reminder, but my alarm did go off. You know, and eventually became like, you know what? Yeah, let me go ahead and pray. Yep. It became a conversation. I was like, yo, my man, he prayed. Well, I'm gonna pray. Yeah. He made God happy. Well, I'm gonna make God happy. What's up? So yeah.
I mean, I remember watching a Will Smith interview. He said that if you're trying to build a habit or a business or something that you want to live, you know, surpass you, is that the focus every single day should be to build a wall. But in order to build that wall, what you need to do is get that brick. And your job per day for that one brick is to lay it or place it as straight as you can every single day to have the best wall. So I think about the same way for a habit. The goal isn't to stack as many bricks as you can and try to get there before somebody else. Is to make sure that those are the right bricks for the wall. Then after that, you place them in the right position where that makes the wall aesthetically pleasing and also strong, you know, from the foundational standpoint. So let me ask you this. When it comes to the aesthetic pleasure of the wall, who is it supposed to be aesthetically pleasing to? I like that. And that also goes down to our second point. But before I go into that, I think it should be aesthetically pleasing to you. I mean, this is who you are, right? This is like your wall. Obviously, you're going to see walls that are bigger, brighter, bolder, and stronger. And that's why the second point that I had here, and I do believe that it goes into spiritual burnout, is the judgment and comparison. You know what I mean? There was one day, it was last Ramadan, you were with me. We were at the mosque in Maryland, the Dianet or the DNet Center. You know what I'm talking about?
What was that? That was this year.
Was this year?
It was this year.
That was this year. And we got in there, and man, I felt embarrassed. They brought 3 little kids out from each age. The first guy that led prayer was 5.
Was this during Ramadan? It was Ramadan. Man, but we had a hafiz at the age of 3. This man couldn't even tie his shoes.
I was just like, dog, I got to go back home and be on it. So I kind of got in my own head and was comparing myself to a 7-year-old. So it was just like, what? I was like, dang, what's going on? So I think I already knew what my wall was, and it was aesthetically pleasing to me. But after I saw him, I was like,
This man got the Berlin Wall over here of the Quran.
But that also that goes into social aspect too, whether it's social media. Because what sucks is we're always trying to flex our iman, and people are always trying to see who is more Muslim than the other.
You can't sustain that, bro.
You can't sustain that.
You can't. Look, here's the thing. You can't sustain it because it ain't you. It's not who you are, bro. I'm not a hafiz. I'll be real with it. Yep. And I have no grandeur of becoming hafiz. I never have. I don't have.
That's on the docket for your boy.
Man, then that's good. I don't have that. Like that's not something that I'm like, yo, that's not an ambition of mine.
And that's okay.
Exactly. But how many of you are okay saying that?
Oh, that's
where the judgment.
Point.
That's where the judgment and comparison come in play.
Good point.
You want to do that? I don't. I'm cool with that. You're cool with that.
Yeah.
Right. You aren't judging me for it. I'm not judging you for it. So we have to come to this place where you can't become spiritually burnt out because you're worried about what other people think. Like, do I want to learn more Quran? Absolutely. But is my concern that I need to be able to memorize? No, that's not a priority. Right. But in any aspect, even when we look at the people that they go and they dress a different sort of way, and they try and look this sort of way, like, bro, I would, how spiritually frustrated and burnt out I would be if I was trying to compare my beard to yours.
But you do bring a good example though.
It's just not for me. Like everybody, you have to only live up to what you can do. Yeah, you have to be you. I can't be Muhammad's beard. It doesn't work like that. No, my beard, look, I'm proud of mine. You know what I'm saying? And I like where I'm at. I like who I am, and I think enough of you guys have to learn how to love who you are spiritually. You have to learn who you are spiritually first as well. You have to learn, you have to understand who you are. You have to read, and not just saying Quran, not just hadiths, not just, you know what I'm saying? You have to read, you have to explore, you have to go through a few things to say, okay, how am I spiritually?
Yeah. Where am I at?
Where am I at? Where am I at? And where am I comfortable with where I am?
That goes back to
Are you comfortable with where you are spiritually?
Because you may know where you're at, but you may not be comfortable with it. And that's also okay. Because if you're not comfortable, that means that there's something inside you that says you need to do better and you want to do better. But when you get frustrated and then you go down that spiral, you can also be burnt out. And
a lot of that comfortability comes from taking judgment, taking comparison from others.
And don't listen at your own wall.
No one's opinion of where your iman is matters.
Yeah, because that's between you and God anyway.
Exactly.
First off, know? So, hey, I do like that. So now I'm glad. So we talked about a failure to build that foundation, or how to build a solid foundation, and that starts from knowing where you are, if you're comfortable with it, and where you're trying to go. Right?
Yeah,
we got that. Second is the judgment and comparison that we get, whether it's from family, friends, socially, social media. We get that. Yeah. I mean, social media is kind of it's weird because you got
smoke and mirrors, bro.
Because you got people on there that are they're looking quote unquote spiritually there, but they're not really.
Bro, it's kind of like SQ said.
We're talking about hollow.
Yeah, it's like he was talking about with the marriage, right? Where people are like, I'm so happy in my marriage, but they get home, they get home and all they do is sit on their phones the whole time. Yeah. They have no real connection. That's who you're going to compare yourself to. Yeah. So why do we why do you do that, right? Yeah. Why do we compare ourselves to these people who look the part? Bro, if anyone just saw me, didn't ask me my name or anything about me, but then they see someone that's wearing a thobe and a kufi or whatever, they're going to look at him and say, yo, like and I'm pointing at you, but not
okay, I get it,
for that purpose. Yes. But they're going to look at the other dude and say, yo, like, oh, he's on it, but this guy, who is he? But I could be the imam for the day. I could be the khatib for the day. You know what's funny? And that's happened to me before.
Oh, you?
Yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've been a khatib, you know. I know myself.
Because you dress.
I dress like me.
You dress like you.
I dress
the way
like
you
me.
would dress.
That's where I am spiritually. I'm fine with that. But how you dress doesn't determine your spirituality.
Oh, like that.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same with women and wearing the kimar. Yeah, the kimar, but guys, the kimar. It's the same thing. I know plenty of women who don't wear kimar, who don't abide by, hijab dress code, right? And they are excellent Muslims. And then I know women who do observe the dress code of hijab and they wear the kimar. And I'm not saying they're better or worse. I'm just saying that their actions kind of sway a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Now, this ain't calling no one out specifically. If you know me and you wear hijab or you wear kimar, don't be thinking I'm talking about you. That's not the case. What I'm saying is we can't judge a book by its cover.
No.
Or in most cases, you can't judge a book by its pages.
You got to read them first.
You got to read the pages. If it says it's 100, make sure it is.
5-0.
Yeah. So yeah, man, we got to get rid of that stigma that comes along with being spiritual and having to look spiritual and so on and so forth.
There was one point that you said earlier that I kind of wanted to jump on, was talking about Ramadan. Ramadan, going to Hajj, that pilgrimage, going to Umrah. That right there, in a sense, kicks in a nitro.
I haven't done
spiritually highness.
I haven't done it. Inshallah, I'm going to Hajj, so yes. I'm very curious. Like, how was that for you when you came back from Umrah? I remember we talked about it on the podcast before.
I came back from Umrah. I was like, I can't speak to any infidels. Somebody grab my white thumb.
You are a kafir.
You are a kafir. I need my blanket. I'm over here.
My man woke
the bro asked me to come to the radio show. I was like, I can't be seen in person. This interview can't be above 30 minutes.
I was like, bro, take a selfie. He was like, I refrain from taking pictures. I do not worship images. Yo, my man, you are wild.
Because this place that's been built up and you've heard so much about, and the history is like, once you go there, it's like you don't want to live the way you used to live. But the issue is that I was only in Saudi Arabia for 2 weeks, forgetting that I lived in America for over 27 years, So it's like, I can't discredit or, erase 27 years and become this new man off of 2 weeks. That's not realistic. Yeah. But that's what happened. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And they come back happy and great, but they get off their high horse really quick. And usually I kind of plummeted. I kind of hit the bottom, because what goes up.
My man was wearing sandals.
What goes up must come down. It was nice though. It was nice, but like, I wasn't the same person. I wasn't treating people right. I wasn't treating like myself right. Like on my spiritualness or my spirituality is on one spot, and my whole life was somewhere else. So what I needed to do when I got back was to work hard and bridge that gap. You know what I mean? That's what I needed to do.
What do you feel you could have done to bridge that gap then?
I could have still been me. You know what I mean?
So how do you balance that? How do you balance this new spiritual insight that you got, right, with this life that you've been living? Like, so like, what are some practical tips and actions that you could have taken? Just like a few, that you can I could have able to.
Well, when I would come back, I would definitely say, or if you go on this trip, come back and still hang out with the same people you were hanging out with. Like, don't switch up, Don't go over there and be like, all right, when I get back, I'm not hanging out with X, Y, and Z because they do this. Because who knows, you coming back and talking to them could help them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely stay down to earth. Just don't think because you went out to Saudi Arabia for a few days that you're like the prophet. Peace and praise be upon him. Like, you got to do a lot more work than that to be amongst the Sahaba, the scholars.
My man said, call me El Hajj. Hey, I'm gonna do that, right? When I get back from Hajj, bro, I'm about to be, I've been saying this since I was in high school. I was like, when I go to the Hajj, you're gonna have to address me El Haji Jabril Abdul Salam the third.
Hey,
I don't know where the third came from, but like, bro,
definitely calling you the third.
I'm gonna be feeling myself, Al Haji.
I would definitely say keep a positive character, treat people right. What else are some practical things? Just make sure you stay happy and you don't become like a mean and boring Muslim. That's what I would say. Yeah.
So do you feel as though when you come back from these spiritual experiences, you you said you're on a high horse, but did you feel like you were looking down at other people who didn't go, or that you're like you just don't, you can't understand?
Yeah, it was one of those things like, man, you just don't get it. Like Timber's laughing because you should see my face. No, but it was
I wish I could explain it to you guys.
It was like one of those times where it's like,
you just don't get it.
Like you ever had something taste or something that's real good, like you never had that, bro? I can't even speak to you right now. It's like one of those types of situations. You never watched that show?
You don't know who Mr. Beast is?
Exactly, like that. What? You know who Star Wars is? It was one of those type of situations, which kind of sucks because, arrogance is what our Lord hates. You know what I mean? We will never even get into.
So you came back arrogant.
I mean, arrogant in a way, kind of like you had your nose in the air.
Yeah, that's not in a way. That's arrogant.
Yeah, so that you had your nose in a way which resembled arrogance, and that's what I would definitely say. I was definitely arrogant, and you think a trip like that would humble you more. You feel me? But it makes you come back, and it gives you a sense of like.
But that's interesting though. You say that because if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, he talks about how he did come back humbled.
He was
because of what he saw, and I think that a lot of us understand this.
Yeah.
From this example, you don't have to go to Hajj to have spiritual reformation.
To connect.
You don't have to go to a holy place to have spiritual reformation.
Yeah.
Right. What you need to have is experience in your life that makes you want to find spiritual change. Right. So when Malcolm X came back from Hajj, it was less of, oh, I'm super spiritual, and it was more of the experience opened his eyes to the realities of the world.
Of what's going on here.
And well, not just to what's going on here, but to what can happen here, to what the world can be, to how we can interact as Muslims.
No, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, I saw blue-eyed, blonde-haired, white men praying next to dark-skinned Africans.
Yep.
So that shakes up your whole world, and then it changed your whole worldview. So for any of us that are trying to be spiritually uplifted, right, I think it's important for us to be able to contextualize what it is that we're bringing into our lives for our spirituality, right? Just because I read a bunch of books and I read a bunch of verses and I understand, that doesn't mean that I can use that against you or anyone else. What it means now is that I need to take that and understand how is what I just consumed going to help me be a better person for my environment when I get back.
It's almost, hopefully this isn't a horrible comparison. It's almost like going to a seminar. You go to a real estate seminar, like right before it, you're so hype about it and you want to do real estate. You want to be all about real estate, And then when you're done from it, you're like, dude, whatever it takes, I'm going to come back. I'm beyond it. And whoever's not on the real estate game is not talking about real estate, I can't hang out with them. I can't associate with them, And then a week or two, you do something, then you crash.
It's burnt out.
And then you don't do real estate ever again.
You didn't pay, bro. We're gonna leave that one.
We're gonna leave that one.
That's a wound that's not quite healed yet.
I was talking about your mother about this point, which I thought was very interesting. She was saying that when Arabic isn't your first language, sometimes the things that you recite and kind of say, you have to try to feel them more. You know what I mean? You have to kind of not act them out, but you really have to understand what things mean. So for example, if I go ahead and I read a love language book in English and I read it, I'm gonna feel that to the most extent. You know what I mean? But sometimes like reading Arabic and kind of going back to, I'm like, what does this mean? What context does this mean?
You don't feel it as much.
You don't feel it as much. So she was saying that, it's just, you got to work a little bit harder for that too. So do you think, for you, Jabril, Arabic not being your first language, and Arabic's not my first language, not being your first language, do you think that hurt you in a way in regards to your spirituality, or do you think it actually motivated you because you had to actually understand it and actively pursue it and feel it?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that I don't know Arabic, right? The fact that I'm very limited in my Arabic.
Shway.
The fact that I'm very limited in my Arabic has made me have to be more knowledgeable when I speak to Muslims who know Arabic and think that if you don't know Arabic, you don't know anything about the religion, right? So it's actually made me closer to my dean now, doing what we're doing, because I'm like, well, even though I can't recite the Arabic, right? I know certain parts very, very well. I know parts of the Quran from memory in English because I've read it so much and I know it, right? But that doesn't diminish the fact that like I still have a very strong foundation spiritually.
I think, and you bring up a very good point. I think one thing that we did not clear earlier, Jabril, is the difference of spirituality and religion, right? People think it's the same. I do believe that one goes into the other, right? Spirituality spills into religion, but correct me if I'm wrong, religion is all of Islam, the teachings. Spirituality is I feel like it's your connection, with yourself, the people around you, and how do you feel about yourself when you go to sleep at night? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what spirituality is, because do you ever see those people that are just always on edge or feel like they're disturbed? You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't say that's spirituality. Spirituality is your connectedness to everything.
Okay.
Think about it. Spirituality is your connectedness to people, your connectedness to the environment, your connectedness to the higher being, the higher power. Have you ever met people who aren't religious but they're super spiritual?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, sure. Exactly. Same thing.
Sure.
So religion isn't so much. People forget that you can be religious and not be spiritual. Yeah, you can pray all the prayers and not feel anything.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I've met people like that where they it's like they go through the most. Bro, I watched this one dude make Isha so fast. By the time I finished, I was getting on to my second rakah. He was giving his salams out. And I say that because it's like when you're, and we've all felt this, and we've all done that, right? Where we were like, I didn't hurry up, right? When you, that's how you like. It's like, so like when you're feeling in your spiritual best, right? You take your time with those prayers. Yeah, you really try and feel it, and you're very sincere in it. Yeah. Right. Now imagine having that same level of sincerity with everything that you do throughout life. When you see people, you remember we knew that one guy, right?
Who?
Tyler Benham.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good soul.
That dude, great soul. It's like you met this dude and he just made you feel so. Like,
he's one of the few people in my life that actually had that off the first encounter. I'm not gonna lie.
How you doing, man?
That kid was special,
bro. Like it was just like it was warmth. It was just like a natural warmth. And you're like, man, like this dude is down to earth. When we say people are down to earth, it means they have a very, very grounded spirituality.
Yeah, they're close.
Exactly, you know what I mean? They're close. So it's not that you're on edge. It's just that you have this connectedness to the things that Allah has created. Like you feel bad when you see Allah's creation being hurt. That's why I mentioned the Jummah cleanup. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that because I've seen people go to the mosque and then they pray, but as soon as they're done praying, they make salams out. They grab their phone real quick, you know what I mean? Or they're going and they're yelling at somebody or telling somebody what to do. It's like if you were spiritually connected, you would just you would still be calm. You know what I mean? You would still be coming down from that. It's like after you make your prayers, you're like, all right, let me go ahead and make my tasbih, saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar. Then after that, you go ahead and make your dua. It's like you're slowly going into it and then you're slowly coming out of it. I feel
it's almost like a meditation. It's up your connected.
When I'm not spiritually connected, I can hit a prayer and just be out. You know what I mean? Not even feel like I even prayed right now,
But that's not to put the pressure on yourself to say that every time you pray, you have to have that spiritual connectedness. Bro, I've had experiences while praying that I've only had one time.
Just that
I can't describe it. I'm being serious. Like I can't describe it. Like I was literally in sujood. I couldn't get up. I couldn't move. I tried. I couldn't move. I've never experienced that before. And
please give us a thumbs up on YouTube if you think Brill is hyping it.
Wow, you're a dick. No, but there's a level of spirituality. Like there's certain things that you're going to experience and you're not going to experience again, or you got to figure out how do you connect into that, right? How do you tap into this more divine spiritual connection? How do you tap into that? Right? We have to learn that. You have to practice that. You have to read about it. You have to try. We were talking about that earlier, like when it comes to practicing parts of the religious practices, you have to learn how to do those things. You don't just wake up one day and be like, I'm spiritual. You have to learn, like you have to learn how to meditate. You have to learn how to pray. You have to learn the significance of the prayer. You have to learn the significance of the creation. And that's my opinion, right? You asked me, without being able to speak Arabic, how do I manage to become more spiritual? That was a question, yeah? So along those lines, my spirituality doesn't depend on my ability to read Arabic. Spirituality, there's a language of the world, right? There's a language, there's a universal language of the world. Just because you speak Arabic doesn't mean that you're more spiritual than me. Okay. You can fulfill different religious duties that I might not be able to, but spiritually, we might be on two different planes. You might be able to recite the entire Quran, but spiritually, I'm somewhere that you'll never be. Or you're living it out. You're living it out. You can, bro. If you can recite the whole Quran, but you're still a horrible person to people, but I'm not, then I mean, does that mean that I'm not winning? Does that mean, you get what I'm saying?
I follow.
We can't put people. There is no spiritual pedestals. Everybody's in a different place. Everybody. So when we talk about spiritual burnout, because that's what the episode is about. When we talk about spiritual burnout, it goes back to the second thing, which is always comparing and trying to one up somebody. Oh, he knows more Arabic than me, so I need to. It's okay to use friendly competition. To say, oh, like I want to learn more. Like when you would learn more surahs, I was like, I want to learn more surahs.
How you do that?
How you do that? But I had to catch myself because it got to a point. I was like, this isn't a competition. I'm proud of my man's. My man's learning more surahs. Alhamdulillah, like it's good for him. But I'm also learning my own thing as well. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, I won't be able to exchange those things. So for me, there was a point where I could have got spiritually burnt out by trying to catch up to you. But was I really doing it for the right reasons? Was I trying to just fill my own ego? Was I?
You just opened up a whole another can of worms.
Ooh, open that up. And we're going to close the case.
And that, man, that's so crazy because that goes into the last point. Obviously, we can bring up more points, but it's just... your perception. People say that perception is reality, and it is. And perceptions can either help you or it can hurt you. So like you were saying, Jabril, you could have found them, but like, you know what? I'm motivated to do more. But then you forget to renew your intentions and you forget why you even started this in the first place, you know? So that's good. I mean, the whole point of this episode was to figure out like where you guys are spiritually, just to gauge yourself really quickly. Whether you do it today, pull over, do it tonight, you know, just gauge yourself. And then if you don't even know where you're at altogether, I think that's also okay. Because you can start. You know what I mean?
People need to do research. People need to explore other religions. And I'm being honest. People need to explore Christianity. They need to explore Judaism. They need to explore
in what ways? In what ways? How
they need to understand. Because you can't fully understand your own spirituality without understanding what spirituality is. And and a lot of Muslims don't really understand spirituality in Islamic context because they look at the religious side of things. They don't look at the spiritual side of things. Whereas with other religions, and let's even take the Abrahamic religions out, we look at the religions that typically we attribute to more spirituality, more connectedness, such as like Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism.
The Eastern countries.
Like they're very, very spiritual, right? It's less about the materialistic side. It's less about what's on the face. It's more about what's on the inside, right? Yes. So how many of you guys actually meditate? How many of you guys actually take the time to get to know what's inside of you? How many of you guys actually take the time to understand what's going on in your brain and how to quiet certain things? A lot of us say we're anxious and we're depressed, but how many of you guys are actually doing things that you can do yourself without, other people, without medications and so on and so forth to actually try and curb that? You know what I mean? Meditation is a great way to try and ground yourself and understand your own spirit, where you belong in this world.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Do yoga. I do yoga. Yoga's amazing. It's good for your body.
Breathing exercises.
Breathing. Yo, breathing is the craziest thing ever. Like God, do you understand that we don't have to think about breathing? You know that's why babies cry, right? Because for the first time in their lives, they have to think about breathing. Like
I never knew
it
that.
takes them a while to like, because they're like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, bro, you've never breathed before. Yeah, deep breathe. Enjoy that air. Enjoy that air. But when you realize that the air that you breathe in and the air that you let out, something else is breathing that in order to survive, you already, like, that's all you need to know about the world. All this interconnected.
Yeah, Jabril's already dropping bombs.
Yeah.
We're talking photosynthesis out here, cuz it's a wrap. But think about it. We're always letting energy out as human beings. But so when you sometimes take a deep breath, like you mentioned, you meditate and you focus all on the energy on the inside, now you kind of pulling that energy back into you and filling yourself back up, which goes back to the recharging. You feel me?
Spiritual recharge. I recommend, this is my recommendation, that every day you take time to spiritually recharge, which if that means like,
it has to be every day thing though.
Yeah, it has to be consistent. It doesn't even have to be every day.
Just consistent.
You need to take the time at some point in your week, in your day, to put the phone away, cut all electronics off.
You need to go in a little, like a dark room. That's what I do. I try to go in like a dim room.
Bro, take a nap. Like me personally, I've been doing this for years. At least once a week, I had to spend one day out in nature with no one else.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I have to. You remember back in college, I had to, every Sunday I was gone.
I gotta go walk. I gotta go walk, bro.
Oh my god.
I kid. I joke. I kid. All right, guys. The end of the episode. All right, so continue.
For the last 41 minutes, you've been listening to the Young King
like
podcast.
You're right. You always do like to be a nation. I know why.
Yeah, because I mean, bro, you're in a place where it's just you. It's you. There's God and there's a creation, and that's it. So, what are you about to learn about yourself?
But sometimes, even when you bring people out in nature, they're still like
That's why you got to go by yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you just sit in a field by yourself. I'm not saying you sit in a like creepy cornfield or something.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like you go outside by yourself and you take a walk, no phone, or you keep your phone and you keep the phone on silent and you just be for 15, 20 minutes tops.
It's not that long.
Just walk on your own. Understand where you at.
And you have some thoughts you'll never even thought about it. You know, and the air out there sometimes just different too. You feel me? If you find a stream, you find some water, you do notice the air.
You notice the air.
You do notice the air, the cool breeze.
You know so much more.
You're more thankful too. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
You're more thankful.
Bro, have you ever stepped outside and was like, yo, Allah, thank you. Like, this is just great.
Oh yeah.
You see, you know,
the fall especially.
When we went to Nevada and we were sitting up, so little story time, guys. We took a trip. There was like a tragic event in my family, and so this happened while I was on the trip, and we decided we were going to take a walk. We spied this rock, and we said we're going to go towards this rock. When we got to the rock was like a 4-story boulder. It was crazy. It was far, right? So we get up to this boulder and we find a spot where we can sit down. And I just remember that you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't hear airplanes. You couldn't hear cars.
I still remember that exact moment.
All you could hear was your heartbeat. It was the craziest experience ever, but it was the most peaceful I've ever been. In the wake of one of the most devastating things that has happened to my life then and since, that was one of the most peaceful moments of my life. Being able to just sit out in nothingness. It was, and you were with me, but it was like we weren't talking. There was no motion. It was literally just stillness.
I still felt like I was there alone.
Exactly. You close your eyes and you're just like, you're just breathing, and you're like, subhanallah, like thank Allah for this. And then when you open your eyes and you look out at everything, you're just like, wow, Allah really created this for us to just navigate, and you become more appreciative, and then you get a spiritual experience out of that.
See. That's humble. You know what I mean?
Man, I feel like we just like calmed down. We were so hype at first. I feel like we did.
So just for a quick recap, this episode was about being spiritually burnout, and we talk about some of the points that may cause that, such as lack of focus, not building a solid foundation or habit, always comparing yourself to the next person, or judging yourself on metrics that aren't even true or don't even really tell a story about who you are. Having a spiritual high, whether it's during Ramadan, before Ramadan, after Ramadan, going on a spiritual voyage, you losing a habit, and the perception. How perception can either hurt or help you in this type of situation, and some of the remedies.
This is a good episode.
That was a great episode.
I feel like we covered a lot of stuff, but we kept it pretty tight.
All right, and this is things that we can incorporate in our daily lives. Because I will. Also, one thing that you can do is kind of incorporates what we talked about, is that if you have a hard time of meditating and finding that time right before you pray, take an extra 5 minutes to go sit. You know what I mean? Sit down and just relax before you pray.
Here's a pro tip. When it comes to meditation, guys. So a lot of you guys are probably like, well, is meditating just closing your eyes and breathing? Well, yes, right? But there's mental exercise that you do while you're meditating. There's this book that I bought called Brain Training. A lot of you guys have actually been asking us about our favorite books. Yeah. A lot of you guys think that all we read is Islamic books. Like, yo, we read a lot of things. So yeah, we'll do an episode on our books, favorite books. But yeah, we're recently getting a lot of people asking us about like specifically Islamic books. But anyways, so in this book called Brain Training, it talks about meditation and how you can get the most out of it. And a lot of times when we close our eyes, close your eyes, everybody.
But not if you're driving.
Yeah, not if you're. Oh my God. So what happens is a lot of times when we close our eyes to try and meditate, we end up we get a thought that comes to mind. So I'll say the word cookie. You think of a cookie, and then you're like, oh, I would love some milk, but I'm lactose intolerant. But if I'm lactose intolerant, I fart. It's like your brain spirals. It goes from one thing to another to another. The point of meditation is to see a thought. You're like, cookie, that's nice, and then just let it keep passing. To not let it trail off into anything else. Yo, open your eyes, bro. We're not meditating right now. Cookie. So the point of when you're doing the meditation is to try and take notice. That's the point. It's trying to take notice of yourself. Where is your breathing? Are you comfortable? Where is your thought processing? Are you able to stop those trains of thought? Are you able to control your mental? And what that does is that when you're finally awake or when you're out of the meditative state, now you have more control and you're more thoughtful. You can pay better attention to the things going on around you, which in turn will make you more grounded, which in turn will make you more open and aware of the language of the world.
You'll be a better person and a better Muslim.
I mean, you ready?
Let's get it, guys.
All right. So for the last 47 minutes and 30 seconds, you have been listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast. I'm Jabril Salam.
And Muhammad Hassan.
And we greet you with the greens of peace.
Asalaamu
Alakum.
Oh, make sure you also like, subscribe.
Oh, hold on. Well, yeah, we need to read. All right, let's do this again. And I did anyways. Mo, where can they find us, my man?
Yeah, so you can listen to us on all the major podcast platforms such as Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Castbox, SoundCloud, and make sure you subscribe, like, and comment on the Young and Muslim Podcast, the YouTube family. Love y'all so much. We're growing. Jabril, how can they follow us on social?
Wow. Thank you for asking, Muhammad. You can find us on Young and Muslim, YUNGN Muslim, on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook at the Young and Muslim Podcast. And additionally, you can find us anywhere that you love to listen to podcasts. On Google is the best way to search us. Find us, let us know, leave us reviews. And as always, guys, thank you. We really appreciate you guys listening.
Yep, we already went out, so right?
Nope, we're going to do it again.
All right, come on.
So for the last 48 minutes and 38 seconds, you have been listening to the Young and Muslim Podcast. I'm Jabril Salam.
And Muhammad Hassan.
And we leave you with the greens of peace.
Asalaamu
Alaikum.
Come on, Lee. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.